if this is a fixed portion of milk, it doesn't make any difference to the amount of milk, how quickly it's poured, but it does affect how long it takes to transfer the milk to the coffee cup. And in physics, we're often interested in how quickly something happens, how quickly something is transferred, and that's what we mean when we use the word rate. So let's look at a more abstract example to do with energy. When you're lifting something up, then energy in the chemical store in your muscles is shifted into the gravity store when the thing that you're lifting is higher up than it was to start with. So a transfer of energy from the chemical store to the gravity store. And again, there's a question about how quickly that happens, the rate at which energy is transferred, and that is the idea that is covered by power in physics. So power is the rate, how quickly, the rate at which energy is transferred from one store to another. And power is associated with that transfer process, that transfer pathway. If we're lifting something up, then that transfer pathway is mechanical working, but it could be heating, or it might be transfer through a radiation pathway. There's a number of pathways. They are all a transfer of energy, so for all of them we would be interested in power, in how quickly the energy is transferred. When we measure power, we use the unit watt, and that's a capital W because it's named after James Watt, who developed some of the early steam engines. The 1 watt is when 1 joule of energy is transferred in 1 second. So power is measured in watts, 1 watt, 1 joule of energy transferred every second. So if you're transferring 2 joules of energy in a second, that would be 2 watts. If you're transferring 2 joules of energy in 3 seconds, that would be 2/3 of a watt. It would be 2/3 of a joule transferred in each of those 3 seconds to make 2 joules altogether. So we can say that 1 watt is equal to 1 joule per second. If we formalize that, we want to represent that relationship between the energy transferred, the amount of energy transferred, and the time taken, and the power in an equation. Here it is. And we might well want to reduce that down to a symbol equation. So that's P for power is equal to E for energy transferred divided by T for time taken. And the units matter as they do for any equation. So if the energy transferred is measured in joules, that's the SI unit for energy, and the time is measured in seconds, the SI unit for time, then you'll get the power in watts. Now you can, if you want, if you're working in engineering notation, you can say, well, if the energy is in kilojoules, then the power will come out in kilowatts. If you're ever in any doubt, then convert to the SI units. But with this equation, if you've got kilojoules, you'll get kilowatts. If you've got megajoules, you'll get megawatts. And you can leave it like that if you like. However, the time must be in seconds. If that's in minutes or hours, you are definitely going to need to convert before you use this equation. There's another way to write this equation. Power equals work done divided by time taken. It's the same equation. Doing work, mechanical working, is just one of the energy transfer pathways. And it's the most common one, so the equation is quite often written like this. If in your head, work done and energy transferred, if they're pretty much interchangeable, if whenever you see work done, you immediately think that's about energy transfer, then that will be fine, that will be helpful. And this equation condensed down into symbols would be P equals W over T. The W here is for work done. Just be careful you don't muddle that up with the W for the unit of power, which is watts. The unit is watts for power, but this is an equation, so these are symbols for quantities, and you have to work quite hard not to get symbols for quantities mixed up with the units. They're different things. So let's have a look at using that equation. This is an example problem pair, so I'm going to show you an example, and then I'm going to give you a problem which is similar to it, a similar format. This is a really good way of introducing calculations to children. So we've got a 20 kilogram mass raised 4 meters by a motor in 3.5 seconds. And the question is, what useful power is produced by the motor? So we're looking for power, but actually we don't have enough information to calculate that straight away. This is a two-step calculation. And you don't get lots of these in GCSE, but some of the more difficult calculation questions do involve 2 steps. When you move on to A level, then 2-step calculations are very, very common. So let's look at how we do this. Well, if we want to know what the power is, we need to know the energy transferred and the time taken. We've got the time in the question there, 3.5 seconds, but we haven't got the energy that's been transferred. So we need to calculate that first. So the mass is being raised up, so energy is being shifted to the gravity store. The equation for the energy in the gravitational store is E with a little p to say potential energy, gravitational potential energy. So EP equals mgh, that's mass times gravitational field strength times the height that you've lifted something through. Okay, so the energy shifted to the gravity store is equal to 20 kilograms times 9.8 meters per second squared times 4 meters. And when you get your calculator out, that comes out as 784 joules. So that's the energy that's been transferred. If we know the energy transfer and the time it takes to transfer it, then we can calculate power. There's the power calculation at the bottom. That's the example. Here's your problem. So a 76 kilogram cyclist accelerates to 12 meters per second in 15 seconds. What's her average power output? Don't get thrown by the word average there. It's just because, it's a human here, and so it might be a bit higher power to start with and a bit lower later on. If you're getting asked for an average there, you just do the calculation as if the power was constant. It's the sort of thing that trips up children because they start thinking average, or I've got to add some things up and divide by the number of things. And then by the time they've thought about that, they've sort of lost track of what they're doing with the question. That comes with practice, and that's what the children need, is lots of practice. And the same for you. You need to not get tripped up by those things. The more examples you've seen, the less likely you are to get thrown by small differences in the question. Right, so have a think about how to do that. It's the same as the other question. You can't calculate the power directly because although you've got the time, you haven't got the energy transfer. This time, the energy shifted to the kinetic store because the cyclist is accelerating, they're getting faster. If I was doing this with children, I wouldn't have this difference between the example and the problem for most classes that I would teach. But I've made a slight change here so that you just get a slightly different version of the question. But it's the same layout. So if you don't know it, go and look up the equation for calculating energy in a kinetic store. Then calculate that energy, and once you've got the energy transfer, you can use the same format as on the left there to calculate the power of the cyclist. If you pause the video now and then do that question, and hopefully you've got that question done. If not, pause, because I'm about to show you the answer. Here it is. So a half mv squared for the energy in the kinetic store comes out at 5,472 joules. And then when you put that into the power equation, you end up with 360 watts as the average power output. This equation gives you the power if you know the energy transfer or the work done, but you're just as likely to be given the power and need to calculate how much energy has been transferred. So let's just look at rearranging that, because you haven't really done rearrangement of equations in this unit yet. So what we need to do, let me just go back a step. What we need to do is, at the moment, energy is divided by time, and we want energy on its own. So if energy is divided by time, we've got to do the opposite of that in order to move the t and get energy on its own. So the opposite of dividing by time is multiplying by time, and we have to do it to both sides of the equation to keep the equation balanced, to keep the two sides equal. Okay, so multiply the p by t on the left, and on the right we're multiplying by t as well. And the simplest thing to do there is just to multiply the top of the fraction. Don't multiply top and bottom of the fraction. Yeah, do it like that. There's different ways in which you could do that from a mathematical point of view, but if you're trying to do algebra, the way I've done it is the best way. Right, so on the left-hand side then, we've got power multiplied by time. On the right-hand side, we're multiplying by time and dividing by time, so those two operations cancel each other out, and we just get left with the energy transferred. And we can flip that equation round just so that it's in a slightly more sensible format. Energy transferred is equal to power multiplied by time, condensed down to symbols E equals PT, energy in joules, power in watts, and time in seconds.